friends, and welcome to this edition of Off Base. It's your girl, Lauren Gardner, LG Red, maybe LG Dodger Blue here with you. If you're listening on the podcast, you're going to have to check us out on MLB.tv or YouTube to see Xavier Scruggs to my right. X, how we feeling?
I'm feeling good. Obviously, you feeling like a Dodger. You came in real strong with the blue.
Okay, I have to credit Pro Standard for the starter jacket that I'm wearing right now, but this is special edition Dia de los Muertos. So the back has the signature skull, and my grandma is like a huge fan of this holiday.
That is clean.
So they hooked it up around Dia de los Muertos, which is November 1st. So I'm wearing it a little late or a little early, depending on how you look at it. But
just don't move around too much, all right? Because
it's a noisy jacket. It kind of interferes with the mic. But
I like that a lot.
Thank you. And the spirit.
And it's just like you to jump on a team as soon as they start rolling, too.
I was about to say, in the spirit of the Dodgers having this historic start, figured might as well jump on board.
I thought you might jump on the Rockies early. Give them some time.
Good start for them too. I will. Listen, if someone wants to send me some Rockies gear, I was wearing a Rockies sweatshirt last week, so my fandom is basically
free, it's for me.
Sale. That's the motto. Let's go ahead and check out what's been moving the needle. And a lot has. We've had an extension wave of sorts. And how about this, X? Check this out. We have Jackson Merrill, 9-year deal extended. We have Ketel Marte now going to be a Diamondback for life. And then, of course, our guy Christian Campbell with the Red Sox.
Yes.
And then fellow Red Sox Garrett Crochet there. Another extension. So now, number one, we get to see Crochet pitching down the stretch, which will be nice now that he got that bag. And then, of course, we can circle back to Jackson Merrill, who's having a great start with the Padres in what could arguably be the best division of baseball.
Well, first of all, I love seeing these guys get the bag, right? Like, as a former player, I want to see a guy get paid and compensated for what he's already done, but also what he can be predicted to do in the future.
Yeah.
And where you see with Jackson Merrill is, he wasn't one of the best rookies last year. He was one of the best players in Major League Baseball when you think about all the expected numbers, too. We talk so much about, the peripherals and all these analytics. Like, he was great in those numbers. But I go back to Korea early on. Like, his first series was in Korea last year. I was out there. He was as happy as could be just to be on that roster for a couple of days. Then he goes out there and balls out, shows all sides of the ball, defense, hitting line drives, hitting homers. He does everything right, and that's what I love about seeing Jackson.
I feel like you're being humble because you were out there in Korea with him. You had a chat with him.
Yeah.
You gave him some encouraging words. I don't know what it was, but maybe you're responsible for his performance.
No, I can't take credit for what this man has done.
That's going to be the headline when we post it.
But I love it for San Diego,
Xavier Scruggs responsible for Jackson Merrill's success.
But think about the Red Sox, too. Like, this is a team that now we're seeing really start to spend some money, get back to doing big boy things, be able to go against the Yankees, and do it by getting yourself an ace and locking up Garrett Crochet.
Yes.
To me,
huge for them.
Think about what he's done as establishing himself as a starter. But now we're starting to see more precision along with that velocity. Early on in the season already showing us the ability to use that sinker, to use that cutter, to be able to use that changeup as well that he's using big time. They needed an ace, and they needed to extend somebody so the Red Sox fans know, okay, somebody's going to be here for a while. And the same thing goes for Christian Campbell.
Is he one of the biggest challengers to Tarek Skubal for Cy Young, in your opinion?
Oh, I like that.
I just threw that out there. That just came to me. But in my opinion, I'm still picking Tarek Skubal, but I think Crochet is poised to have a huge year.
I talked to him actually a couple of days ago, and just hearing how the maturity is already there for a young man who understands what he's confident in doing, but also knowing this is just the beginning for him. And give him props, because last year we kind of sat back and we're like, man, this guy, he says if he gets traded, he wants to sign an extension. Who is this guy, right? Like, at this young age, but he's proved it.
The optics were a little rough, but we saw what he was doing, and at the end of the day, you kind of have to protect yourself because no one else is going to do that except for you. Of course, Christian Campbell, 8-year, $60 million extension. Kind of cool because he wasn't set to hit free agency until 2030, so they locked him up. And then, of course, Ketel Marte with the D-backs, 6 years, $116.5 million extension. He said he wanted to be here forever. Well, that locked him up for basically what we think will be the remainder of his career. But it got us to thinking, who else would you like to see X sign an extension here in 2025?
Yeah, I think the first guy I think of that comes to mind is Gunnar Henderson. Like, think about the comparisons we were making with him in 2023 when he won Rookie of the Year, thinking about him and Cal Ripken. You know, what he's already done as far as hitting home runs, playing good defense. The Orioles maybe have taken a step back this year as far as, you know, you lose an ace in Corbin Burns, but let's re-up. Like, let's make sure we have some of these young birds here for the long run. Yes, and the main guy to do that with is Gunnar Henderson in the middle of the lineup, in the middle of the infield. Whether he's leading off or in the middle, he's going to be banging. That's what I love watching about his games. He's hitting homers early, impact early on the game. We got to lock him up first.
I feel like he's proven. Aside from Adley Rutschman, who's behind the plate, seems like to be kind of, like the de facto captain of this club. Let's head north. Who else?
Oh, Vladdy. If we're going north, I'm thinking Vladdy.
It seems like both sides have been trying.
Well, and I think I could care less about, if this is good for Vladdy or good for Toronto. Like, we've talked about that enough. I want this for the fan base.
Thank you.
The fan base has missed out on so many great players over the past few years. All the negativity that comes along with losing Ohtani. I think about even Chapman going to the Giants and becoming an MVP candidate. Like, they've lost out in multiple ways. But if you could ultimately bring Vladdy and say, okay, this is someone that we're going to rally around, we're going to build around him for a long period of time, I think you'll see the Toronto fans get back on board, be happy with that, and maybe do it with Bo Bichette, too. Who knows?
Ooh, it'd just be so fun to hear them lock both of those guys up. They're baby birds no longer. It is time, and you need those guys to stay in Toronto. We have one more extension.
Yeah, I'm thinking about, there's a lot of guys that can ultimately be extended. But to me, from a pitching standpoint, somebody that you can look at every fifth day that is going to dominate, Paul Skenes. I mean, we don't see Pittsburgh spend the money like that, though. But if there was one guy they had to overextend themselves and say, hey, let's not do what we normally do. Let's go out here and just lock up Paul Skenes, because we know what's that going to do? That's bringing fans every single fifth day.
Yep.
And they have Paul Skenes Day.
And it transcends baseball. Obviously, we're talking about Livy Dunn. It's transcending sports
different,
now.
yes.
Yeah, I'm so with you. And you see that kind of their franchise guy, Andrew McCutchen, kind of returned to the team. Obviously, he signed, I think, a one-year deal. So this might be his victory lap, so to speak. So you need that guy. So lock him in, make him
bigger
your
than
franchise.
sports. I didn't really think about that, but it is bigger than baseball, too, right? Because he's more of almost that celebrity, that heroic figure for the Pirates. And if we really expect them to win, which it's hard to expect that, you have to find ways to build around certain guys, and that has to be the guy. Because we're not only looking at one of the best pitchers in the game, it may end up being one of the best pitchers of all time, if I can put that on him, if he keeps doing what he's doing.
He's showing that, and he's been great under the pressure. Like we saw what he did in his last start before the All-Star game to give him the nod for the start. He showed up when it mattered most. And he also showed up for this GQ spread. We're talking about transcending baseball into pop culture. Take a look at this. Him and Livy Dunn, full spread in GQ. So you might think, oh, they're somewhere north where it's nice and snowy. This isn't Baton Rouge, and they just so happen to get a freak snowstorm. I don't know how you would describe like the theme or the vibe of this photo shoot. Either way, I'm here for it. It's so good for baseball.
With the honeycomb cereal.
I thought it was mac and cheese.
Sitting in the road. I remember when you texted me and you're like, the mac and cheese. I was like, no, that's my favorite. That's my favorite cereal right there.
Get out of here, honeycomb.
Honeycomb.
I don't know if I've ever had it. Now I'm suddenly craving it.
Honeycomb. I used to corn pops.
Ooh.
Fruit Loops.
Yeah, gotta have the pops. I'm all about that life. Yeah, and the Fruit Loops. See, now 6 months pregnant, I want all those cereals. The cravings just kind of like filter.
But that's the thing too, is like, we're talking about him performance-wise, but also he's got that swag.
He's got it.
They're a hot couple.
Power couple. Okay, so we're saying like probably they're the top Gen Z sports power couple.
Got to be one of them for sure.
And then who else did we have? We have Verlander, Kate Upton in the baseball world.
Yeah. I look at the Beckhams. That's got to be a big one.
The Beckhams are huge. Dansby Swanson.
Yeah, Dansby Swanson. Yes.
Yep. Mallory Pugh, Colorado product.
When I think about, and also like basketball, I think about Dwayne Wade.
And Gabby.
Yeah.
Big fan of Bring It On. Big fan of Gabby's. Big fan.
Bring It On. Hey, don't start showing the age.
I know. What? No. I'm just saying I watched it like 15 years after it was made.
That was solid. I was all over Bring It On.
That was the first time I saw Bring It On when I was
10. You were 10? Yeah, okay.
10 years ago. All right, we're going to step aside here on Off Base. When we come back, a little breakdown. You want to speak of electric? Yeah, this stuff is electric. Elly De La Cruz, what makes him so good? X is going to tell us on the other side.
It's not just the fact fact that he's stealing bases, but he's like creating havoc.
Elly De La Cruz is must-watch TV.
Rocket launch to left center. Splash down De La Cruz.
Elly De La Cruz at first base. It changes the entire ball game.
There goes De La Cruz. Pitch called a strike. Throw down. Save.
It's extraordinary domino effect that's happening with him on the base pass, literally changing the game.
He plays the game with seriousness, but also boyish joy.
Get out your number 2 pencils, my friends, because it is time for a little bit of extra credit, whether it's at the plate, on the base paths, of course, in the field. Elly De La Cruz, and a word is electric. But
Yes.
X, you think he's going to take another step this season. Why is that?
I do. I honestly think he's going to turn into the face of baseball, and it's because of the adjustments I've already seen early. But I talked to him during spring training, and there's a lot of maturity there just as far as him wanting to be a leader. He wants to speak English, better English, and his English is great now.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard it, by the way.
I have. It's really good.
Because he wants to be a better leader for his team. There's obviously expectations there for him. And even as a young player, he wants to be able to rile everybody up together to get them to win. I think what I like is seeing the early 2-strike adjustments this year. We know the energy, we know the atmosphere, we know the base running, we know the defense. All of that is going to be there, as well as the hitting. But he led the league in strikeouts last year, 218. If you bring those down a little bit, you can be even more electric and more powerful. I want to get to this tape because just recently, him against Verlander. Think about Verlander's an older veteran type of guy. He got to 2 strikes early via slider and then a curveball, right? He's trying to leave it. He's trying to get a pitch inside. He's trying to leave it early. But I like the adjustment once he got to 2 strikes, laying off of those pitches he already saw. Both of them coming back in the same area. Justin Verlander challenging him to make that mistake to get out in front of it, but ultimately waits for that strike. I want to bring that back one more time because I want to show everybody that once you get to 2 strikes, if you cannot lay off of tough pitches and then get one in the strike zone, you'll have no success. And I love how he was able to get him back into the strike zone, make Justin come back and challenge him where he can put good barrel on it. With the runner on second base, doing it with guys in scoring position. That's when he's going to get challenged the most to swing outside of the zone. And when I look at a guy that struck out the most in the league last year, his adjustment, and I talked to him about this too, is, okay, how do I shorten up my swing? How do I do better with 2 strikes? And how do I understand what I'm looking for? And to me, that lets me know that he's doing a better job of, okay, these are the changes I need to make, and I need to apply them early on in the season and trust them. And when you're doing it against veterans that have won Cy Youngs before, that lets me and indicates to me that that change is being made now.
It's interesting that you say that because we talked so much last week about Juan Soto, right, and his approach and that discipline at the plate and just his eye in general make him so lethal in addition to the power. The fact that he's able to do this at this point in the season, in his career, literally, how difficult is it? It's easier said than done. It's easy for us to sit here and say this, but when you're standing in the box, with his size, by the way, it's a pretty large strike zone.
Well, and that's why I only wanted to really show one video because, like, a lot of times we get bogged down by showing all these videos and at-bats because you know, players are going to have 600 at-bats, right? But I just want to show you an example of a 5-pitch at-bat in which a guy recognized, okay, I'm getting too big on the baseball on my first 2 strikes. And those weren't even strikes. They were outside of the strike zone on the inner half of the plate. So if I can make the adjustment and say, okay, and that's the difference between an Ohtani. And you mentioned Juan Soto earlier. The difference between those guys is they make it within a pitch or 2. It doesn't take them long. The difference between a good hitter and a great hitter is the great hitter is going to make the adjustment quickly. The good hitter may take him a few at-bats. It may take him a slump. No, now Elly De La Cruz, now 2 strikes, I can't afford to go outside of my zone. I've got to recognize that early. And to your point, the question that you asked me, it's hard because you have to trust yourself that all the things that you put in the offseason and all the mental things are going to now come into play.
Yeah.
Yes.
And for things to slow down like that, that's not easy.
Right, because the game is extremely fast, right? Especially when guys get on base.
Pitch timer, too.
Yes, when guys get on base, guys on second base, your heart starts going because you know you have an opportunity to do something big for your team. So how do you find a way to slow that down, especially when you get to 2 strikes?
Great point.
So now it's less about, okay, I don't want to strike out, but now it's more about the thought process. And this is what I talked to him, too, about is how do I change my thought process with 2 strikes? How do I go from being on the negative side of things to thinking positively? And that's exactly what he's starting
There
to
are
do.
a lot of scientific studies that show that that actually does come to fruition and it pays off. So I love that you pointed that out because so much of it is mental.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've never taken a nap bad as a big leaguer. You have, so for you to say that speaks volumes. Elly De La Cruz obviously elevating his game. We're going to step aside here on this episode of Off Base. When we come back, here for it or hate it. I promise after this, no more talk of Torpedo bats. But we haven't talked about him yet. We got to weigh in. Like an $8 oat milk latte. You're either here for it or you hate it. Maybe you always hate it, but you love the latte. That's where I am. Because it costs a latte. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the notable players who have used torpedo bats. I promise we're done with this discussion after this, but we haven't had a chance to unpack all this. So this is a big list of names. One that really stands out to me, Giancarlo Stanton. Used it all through the postseason where he dominated. I was there personally covering the ALCS. No one said a word.
Wasn't a huge story then, was it?
Not at all. So was this just like the perfect recipe for this to all unfold with Milwaukee really struggling and then, of course, like the Yankees just blowing up and it's the Yankees and everyone wants to talk about them?
Yeah, well, I think that's why I'm here for it. I have a torpedo bat here.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah, and it is like, it's just a little bit smaller in the end, a little bit more of that weight right here. But guess what? You still have to be a good hitter.
You still have to make contact.
Like you still have to have a good approach at the plate. You still have to do all the right things. And to me, okay, if you get jammed a little bit more, yes, it's going to help you. But pitchers make adjustments too, right? I'm going to put this down. Pitchers make adjustments. You still have to be a good hitter to make good contact on pitches.
If you're on the mound, and I did ask Dan Plesac in the makeup room about this, who's one of our great analysts at MLB Network, hey, if you see a guy at the plate as a pitcher with a torpedo bat, would you make an adjustment?
Yeah.
And just go outside? He's like, well, I don't know, not really. You're probably not going to overthink it, but like that's probably in the back of your mind.
Well, my biggest thing is that let's be patient. Let's figure out ultimately, we have a small sample size.
There's Volpe. Isn't that Volpe's bat that you have?
Yes, I have Volpe's model. Let's be patient because I think it's so early that we can't say, okay, all of a sudden these is like PEDs, right? Like this makes a good.
It's been legal for years. You saw all the players have been using it since 2024.
That's what I'm saying. And I talked to Harold about this because he hit me up and he kind of asking my opinion and I was asking his opinion. And I don't think it turns a good hitter all of a sudden great. But if it does, let's wait and find out. Let's get the numbers first and see all of that stuff. But right now I can't say, okay, this is like cheating, right? Like, no, this is within the rules.
Yeah.
There's been guys that have gotten the bat, didn't like the bat, right, and threw it aside.
Alex Bregman tried it for one game. He's like, not for me.
There's a lot of guys that are like that. Guys go to Marucci in Louisiana and go test to see if this is a good thing for them. A lot of them, some of the better players in the league have said, no, I'm cool. I'm cool with the bat that I already use. You don't see Judge using the bat either. So I think like you'll see a mix of guys using it, and this is going to be a fad, just like most of the other things we've seen with the knob at the end, with the X bat.
That was huge.
Then we've seen the puck. It goes back to when we first made the hole in the middle of the bat. Like, there's so many things that come along with trying to find an edge. I think it's just a part of it. So I'm here for it, but it's not a huge deal.
But when you put up a 20 spot, people are going to look and figure out, try and figure out why the Yankees hit 9 homers in a single game. And here we are. I'm here for it, and I think if it's within the legal limits, then do it. And like everybody, just chill out. It was probably because it was the Yankees. Just chill, Winston. Chill. Here's another thing people are freaking out about: the hot start of the LA Dodgers. Oh, by the way, you have 2 of your biggest stars, former MVPs in the lineup, suffering with like injuries and illness, and they're still absolutely raking. So here we go. Dodgers will set MLB record for regular season wins. We know that the record is at 116 with the 2001 Mariners.
Jeez. I think they're just as dominant as that. I'm here for it. Like, I'm not trying to jump on the bandwagon like you with the jacket, but what I'm saying is I think they can still get the job done.
More Dodgers stuff. Blue looks good.
No, I mean, look, this is one of the most dominant rosters on paper that we've ever seen.
Right.
As far as, like, what the guys have already done. Why can they not go compete and win that many games?
Listen.
It has to be, the health would be the only thing that would stop them.
They won the franchise record, or they set their franchise record 111 games back in 2022. The lineups are basically the same, but it's the pitching staff, rotation, vastly different, and then the bullpen. They basically have all closers. So, yeah, good for them.
Wow.
Good for them. Real quick, here for it or hate it, NL West, best division in baseball. Speaking of the Dodgers, Padres off to a hot start. Giants, by the way, also good. Don't forget about my Rockies and, of course, the Diamondbacks. We know the Diamondbacks are going to be good. They were just in the World Series not too long ago.
It's early, but I am here for this. The
D-backs,
the Padres look good.
Giants, Diamondbacks.
They all look good.
Despite Jordan Montgomery going on the
I think, and one of my reasons, too, because of that, is the AL East, which is usually one of the best divisions.
Sure. So is the NL East.
Has lost a lot of the starting pitching in their own division, like some of the aces.
Yeah.
NL East is still dominant, but I'm looking at the Dodgers being a better team than any of those, so that gives them the edge.
Yeah, I'm also here for it, and I kind of felt this coming because I knew that the Giants were going to be good. I think it was a given that we knew, obviously, Dodgers and Padres were going to be solid, and then the Diamondbacks.
We don't know yet if they're going to be good.
And then there's also the Rockies. Well, we will see. We're both here for it, so you have to stay pat. Let's go ahead and go up to the Pacific Northwest and check out the bobblehead that will be debuting. Oh, my God, Becky. Look at that bobblehead. The Platinum Dumper Cal Raleigh will be featured. How great is this?
Oh, congratulations to him on his extension, too. Well deserved.
Yes, very well deserved. That does it for this
with that
edition
dumper.
of Off Base. Big Dumper, Platinum Dumper. This one's for you. We'll see you next week. Bye.